Millions upon millions of dollars are being spent to develop an NFT game known as Levana. But Levana isn't just an NFT game. They also plan on launching leveraged products such as 2x Luna. So in this video, we're not just going to be discussing the gaming side of Levana. We're also going to touch on the leveraged products that Levana will have coming up in their pipeline. But before we do, welcome to Crypto Saver. Now, first things first, I just want to make this clear. If you hate DeFi games, if you do not care to play games, then you do not have to partake in any of the Levana games if you simply want to partake in the leveraged products that Levana will have in the very near future. On the flip side, if you do not care about the leveraged products, you don't care about trading Luna or anything else, you just want to play the game, you just want to earn some NFTs, possibly sell them, same exact thing. You do not have to care about that other side. You just simply play the game. So both of these things are two separate things. So why is all of this under the same umbrella? Well, Levana had the idea that to reach mass adoption, they want to have something that's easy for people to understand, and playing a game is something easy for people to understand. So with that idea, they plan on pushing this game out to help bring a wider audience, an audience that maybe has never really dabbled into DeFi. But once they play Levana, once they play their major game, then they'll start to be more interested in what DeFi actually has to offer. We are going to begin by talking about the game. Now, I get it. Some of you might not be interested in any sort of game. I know I personally was not. But here's the thing. If you want to get your hands on the Levana Airdrop, which will be coming out in about a month's time, you will have to play their games. Unlike typical protocols, when there is usually a Genesis drop, it's usually given to those that have been staking their Luna, maybe ANC tokens, whatever it might be. Well, when it comes to the Levana Airdrop, the only way to get your hands on those tokens is if you participated in their community, played their games, and so forth. So if you do want to get a piece of something, then I suggest kind of listening and maybe spending a couple hours every week or so participating in the community, playing their games so you can get your hands on some of those Levana airdrops in about a month's time. I'll begin by saying that Levana's full actual game will not be out for one more year. The only games available to us right now are mini games, and this is going to be the case until they launch their major game in about a year's time. So right now, all we have are the mini games. And as we look on my screen right now, you can basically see these are the 4 mini games that are available to you. If we click on Solemn's Adventure over here, you'll notice this page loads and it ends up saying the wallet must contain at least one Levana NFT to play the game. And you'd simply connect your wallet over here. And by the way, basically any of your activities, any of the games that you play, all of that would be recorded on an actual blockchain. But yes, you do need a Levana NFT to play any of their games. So what's the cheapest Levana NFT that you can get your hands on? Well, if you head over to Random Earth and you look under Meteor Dust, this will typically be the cheapest way to get your hands on some NFT. Under the common Meteor Dust, you can kind of see we have prices here. They kind of sit around 0.17 Luna, 0.2 Luna. These are typically the prices. So 0.17 Luna, I believe, is about $15 right now. So yes, you would have to spend about $15 worth of Luna to get a Levana NFT to begin playing their mini games. You know, I'm sure you're saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, I gotta pay money to play these mini games? Like, why in God's green earth would I do that? Well, here's the thing. There's a good chance you will make your money back. The reason being is if you do play these games, and let me just click back here, when you beat these games, and usually this is the case when the games first come out, so in the first couple of weeks or so, when you do beat the game, you do receive an NFT as a reward. That NFT is also usually dust. Now, once you have that dust NFT that you do receive as a reward, you'd come to the same marketplace and you could basically put it up here and receive Luna for it. And you just need this NFT, just keep it in your wallet, right? And then you could basically play these games for the next year. And you keep beating these games, you keep getting these NFT rewards, and you continue on selling them here if you do want to make your money back. If we do look on Random Earth here, the Levana Dragons collection basically are the 3rd most popular ones. There are people obviously buying and selling on a frequent basis here. So that's one way for you to make your money back with that $15 purchase of Luna. Now, I'm going to suggest a little bit of a better method than simply buying that Meteor Dust. Right now, what's going on with Levana is a thing called Faction Wars. And this is basically 4 teams, and you would be on one of the teams, one of the 4 teams. And basically, the team that ends up winning the war would actually also receive an additional boost in the Levana Airdrop. And if you're also part of that team, you would obviously receive that much more, right? Well, to be able to choose a side, let's say choose a team, you would have to buy a talisman. And we can kind of see the lowest price right now for a talisman is a Martian faction talisman, and it goes for about 0.25 Luna, which would be around, say, about $20 to $23, I think, right now. That's what it would cost. But in doing so, you are going to increase your Levana airdrop by having this actual talisman and taking part in faction wars, because it is increasing your participation within Levana in doing so. And yes, you can kind of see there right now, I do have a talisman. And what you would typically do if you do end up buying a talisman, by the way, so let's say we just find it. You purchase the talisman, you withdraw it from Random Earth, and then you would go over to Levana, and then from the My Cave page, you will see an option to be able to kind of see a talisman and for you to be able to stake it. So that's you would stake a talisman, and once you do so, you would be part of the faction wars. And as we click back, we can see that I've completed 2 of the quests. I've completed the Salem's Adventure, which was the first minigame released by Levana during the faction wars, and I've also completed the ARC attack game. Now, the Salem's Adventure game, I will not receive an NFT for that, simply because I did it so late. I actually finished the game today, and usually, like, as long as you finish the game within the first 2 or 3 weeks or so, you will receive an NFT. But sometimes if you wait too long, then there's just no more NFTs to be given out. But you will still receive points towards your talisman. Your talisman records all your activity, by the way, and you also give points to your faction, right? Because you want your faction to be number 1. The Free Martians are currently number 1. You could basically see all their points at the moment. So even though I'm not getting an NFT for completing Salem's Adventure because I did it too late, I am still gaining participation points on my talisman. I am also helping out my faction. And if my faction continues to be in first place, that will also increase my my Levana airdrop. For the ARC attack game, I believe I will receive my NFT airdrop, my NFT reward for that in a few days now. So that is what I'm currently waiting on. And if you do get involved with the faction wars, I suggest joining Levana's Discord. You could basically verify your NFT here. And if you do so, you'd also open up the channels for people within your faction. As you can see, since I'm in Free Martians, I can kind of look at what the Free Martians are kind of talking between each other. And in general, there's so many intricacies with Levana that I'm not going to be able to cover in this video. So if you just like what you're seeing so far, join Levana, ask questions there. People are pretty helpful when it comes to answering things. I also want to point this out. So back on Random Earth, if we do prices highest, you're going to notice this, that there's some talisman here, specifically the ones that are premier role, that sell for 200 Luna. 200 Luna. 100 Luna. In most cases, they're selling for like 80, 90, 100, even more so Luna, right? Specifically the premier ones. And the reason for that is that if you have a premier talisman, if you stake the premier talisman, that will actually additionally boost your Levana airdrop. So people want to get their hands on a premier talisman because if you do so, you get even that many more Levana tokens from the airdrop. Now, outside that talisman, let's discuss the other NFTs that are currently available within Levana. So we have talismans, then we have dragon eggs, we have nested dragon eggs, and then we have meteors and meteor dust. There will only be 8,888 dragons in the Levana game overall. It's never going to go up as far as we know. And as we've seen, those dragons are deemed to be probably the most valuable NFT that will exist within the Levana game. So let's cover some of the uses of these NFTs. Like, why would you need them? How would they play within the game? Well, let's begin with the Meteor. If you have a Meteor, you're able to crack it. And if you crack it, you have a chance to either get a dragon egg out of it or meteor dust. Naturally, you'd hope that it's a baby dragon. Well, a dragon egg, I mean, right? That would obviously be worth more than the meteor dust. But that's the gamble that you are taking. Now, if you do end up getting a dragon egg out of that meteor, you can take that same dragon egg and you can nest it with meteor dust, as long as it's of the same rarity and of the same composition. And if you do so, you then have a nested dragon egg. So it's one of the steps in preparation for the dragon egg itself to start hatching. So again, that meteor dust is used to nest a dragon egg, but it also will have a lot of uses for the game itself. Things such as if you want to customize how your baby dragon will look like, you will have to combine it with meteor dust, and you could also use meteor dust to craft future items that will exist within the Levana game. Now here's something I want to point out to you guys. Right now we're looking at the page for the nested dragon eggs, right? So these are the eggs. These are the dragon eggs that were combined with meteor dust, put together, and now these eggs are waiting for their next step. we're looking at, let's go to the lowest price. And as we look here, you can basically see that the lowest price right now of a dragon egg is about 5 Luna, 5.1. So 5 Luna puts it at around like what, $450, I believe, right now. That's how much it would cost for a common dragon egg. If we look at, let's see if we can bring up the net. Okay, so those were the nested ones, right? Now we're just looking at the dragon eggs. These are the eggs that have yet to be nested, so they have not been combined with any meteor dust, which is just in the previous stage. And the floor here for a common egg is actually at 9 Luna. It's considerably more expensive than a nested common egg, and that is going to be the case. Now you might ask yourself, like, why is that the case? It doesn't make any sense, right? Because to get to the next stage, and the next stage of an egg is a nested egg, well, to get to that stage, you do have to utilize meteor dust, which is another NFT, which costs money. So you'd imagine that that nested egg should cost more money than the common egg. And the reason why that's not the case is because if you nest a dragon egg yourself, you will receive an NFT reward for doing so, and it's usually a talisman. Now, there's a chance that that talisman is one of those premier talismans, the ones that are worth 80, 90, 100, 120 Luna. So people that are currently buying these regular eggs that are not nested, they're trying to gamble on the fact that if they nest this egg themselves, they're trying to get that premier talisman that is worth 100 Luna. That is why these prices are more expensive. On top of that, if we head back to my page where I have my challenges, you can kind of see I have 2 challenges at the bottom here. Well, specifically this one here, nest an egg, it's incomplete. So again, if I do that challenge myself, those are points to my talisman, those are points to my faction. By completing that reward, I'm also increasing my Levana Airdrop. So sure, I can buy the cheaper version, I could just buy the nested egg, but I'm going to miss out possibly on some extra points for my Levana Airdrop, extra points for my faction. And I also miss out on the chance of maybe getting lucky and getting that premier talisman. So let's briefly spend a quick minute looking at one of these games that we've played here. We click on Solemn's Adventure. This is what you would do if you basically join for the first time. We are going to click on Verify Wallet. We're going to put a transaction. It does cost some money, as you can see, but it's extremely small. If you do close the page, by the way, you will have to do this over and over again. So if you're playing a game and you intend to come back to it later today or something, like, just don't close the tab. Otherwise, you are going to have to re-sign again and so forth. Wait for this to load. And I did beat this game earlier today. Let's click on here. I'm just going to show you how one of the levels look like, just for you to get the gist of it. Probably going to lose a whole bunch here, even though I've beaten the game before. Which, by the way, I'll be honest with you, like, it took me some time. These are the sort of games where it's very timing based. You have to just get the gist of what the timing is, but I think we just went through the hard part. Spoke a little too soon. But anyhow, you got the gist of it, right? So this is one of the games. And they're going to be releasing new games every week or so. That's another chance, right? So almost every single week, you're going to have a chance to get your hands on another NFT, which would be Meteor Dust. And if it's you might get a rare, you might get an ancient Meteor Dust. I mean, if we go to the list here, and let's see if we could find some dust here, just to show you what some of them go for. Let's go to rarity, and let's look at the ancient ones, right? And we'll look at the floor for them. So basically yourself about 1.5 or so, right? And so the each one sell for, which is about 100, let's say $150, $160 or something. That's not bad. That's not bad. And for some games, like the Salmon's Adventure one, if you beat that game relatively quickly, like in least attempts, so you didn't take that many tries to beat the game, you increase the chances of getting a more rarer dust, right? That's one thing to keep in mind. And that's not always going to be the case, but just, you play these games, you're not just going to receive a common dust. You might get a rare dust, you might get an ancient dust, a legendary dust. Like that's, it might just happen. Now let's get a bit into the nitty gritty of things. Now let's say you want to buy a Meteor, right? And the reason why you want to give yourself a Meteor is because you want to get that challenge that exists for factions. And you also want to try your hand at possibly getting a dragon egg out of one of these bad boys, right? Let's go to the lowest price here. The cheapest Meteor right now is for 2.1 Luna. Okay? Now, what are the chances of us getting a dragon egg out of this? Well, there's a way for us to actually do this. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write down the ID of this dragon egg over here. And I'm also going to be sharing this URL of you guys. Let me see if I could bring this up. It's right here. So this page right here, if we drop the URL here and click enter, it tells us a percentage chance that we have of it being a dragon egg from that specific Meteor. In this case, 17%. So it's clear it's not the high percentage. So there's a good chance that you might spend this 2 Luna here, 2.1 Luna, I mean like almost $200 that you'll spend. And in doing so, you might just not end up with an egg. You could take that same $200, well, you actually can't, because the cheapest egg that we saw that was nested was about 5.1. But let's say you want to get a regular egg. You don't want a nested egg because you want to also like get the challenge done for nesting an egg yourself and possibly get a premier talisman, right? Well, in that case, I think we saw the floor at somewhere around like 9 Luna. This one sells for about 2.1 Luna. So buying you for that same, so you basically buy 4 Meteors. Is there a chance that you will get a dragon egg out of 4 commons, specifically of this probability? Maybe it's not. Maybe you can, right? It's also worth noting that if you do have a common Meteor, then the egg that you will receive is going to be a common egg as well. It's not going to be a rare egg or ancient or something or legendary. Now, on the flip side, if you do opt and if you do end up buying yourself a legendary Meteor, these legendary Meteors do have a 100% chance of being a dragon egg. So let's take a step back for a quick second. Last fall, when Levana was officially launching and they were minting the NFTs, people could contribute money, they would donate money into the minting process, and the NFTs would be minted. The way the money to NFT, the way that's being converted is if we open up this nested egg here, and if we look at the stats for it, we can see there's a spirit level. And that spirit level matters a lot because when it comes to valuing your NFT, people pay attention to that spirit level. If we do something, let's say price lowest, so you might be looking at this and you might be asking yourself, well, this common egg is selling for 5, but then there is this other common egg selling for almost double at 9. Well, let's do this. We are going to take the 2 and we're going to compare the spirit level between these two, because there's a very good chance that the cheaper one, so this spirit level is 16, and the more expensive one has a 29 spirit level. Notice that difference. It's nearly double, and it's selling for just about double too. So when you look at these prices here, that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, people don't entirely know how the spirit level is going to turn out, but there's also some speculation that the higher the spirit level of your NFTs that you currently hold in your wallet will also determine your Levana Airdrop. So again, there's so many different factors that will determine how much of that airdrop you will receive. On top of that, there's a belief that, you know, the higher the egg spirit level, the stronger your dragon's going to be. Because if we look at something such as let's go with rarity and go to the ancient ones, which is the highest level here for the nested ones. If we look at these over here, which are 30 Luna a piece, just open this up and wait, the spirit level is 400, way above that common egg of 16, right? So it does scale up based on the rarity of the egg. You know, some people also believe that as you, let's say you do customizations of your dragon and you have to continue using dust to combine it with the baby dragon to customize it, well, possibly the spirit level of that meteor dust will also combine with your dragon to increase its strength. Which is why that even if we go to the dust here, I just want to show this to you guys. If we go to the dust, the cheapest dust that's available, and if we open this up here, it's at 0.17 Luna, it actually has no spirit level of 0. And that is because that is dust that was received as an NFT reward. Now, there's nothing particularly wrong with it. If it comes down to like crafting items in the future or customization for your dragon, you can still use it. You can still use it. It just may not pass over spirit level, which is what that's the assumption that currently people are going on. If we go a bit further, and if we look at the more expensive dust here, we might be able to find one that actually has a spirit level. This one does not have a spirit level. But you get the gist. Maybe we'll just poke around and just try to find one more. Let's look at this one here. Okay, so this one also doesn't have a spirit level. Okay. So well, trust me on this one, that if you probe around enough, you will find that there is dust in here that does have a spirit level. We could just try once more. I'm just going from the highest price here. Let's look at this one here. There's a good chance this one. Okay, there we go. Spirit level 178. Now, even the dust itself will fluctuate in spirit level. But in this case, this rare dust is 178 spirit level compared to that 0 spirit level of rare dust that we just previously looked at. Now, we know that this rare dust came from that minting process or possibly from cracking a meteor. And then you got this, maybe you cracked a rare meteor and you received dust instead of an egg here. But hold on a second, this dust that you received, that means at 100 Luna. And there's no guarantee that people are buying this for 100 Luna. That is something that you have to look at and kind of see where the market is at. But that is something that you would receive from cracking a meteor. Now, a normal egg, when you go down this list here for eggs, unlike a nested egg, you do not see the spirit level of this egg. The way to do so, you take the ID of the spirit level of the egg. So we have 6316. We go back to this website here, 6316, hit enter. And we now know the spirit level of this egg is a 9. That's low. Okay, that's low. Which maybe explains why it's being sold for 9 Luna. I mean, is it the cheapest one on this list? It might be the cheapest one. It's the cheapest one on this list. So it's same assumption that if we take maybe a common egg that's being sold for, okay, that's a rare one. Let's back out of that. But let's say we take a common egg. These are all rares. This one's 16, right? 16 Luna, 5821. We're going to plug this in, 5821. And the spirit level is 15. Okay, so this one has a 15 as opposed to 9, even though they're the same rarity. And we see a difference in price. Now, if you buy any of these NFTs, then again, in my cave, you can come here and you'll be able to see them here. For now, all I have is this meteor dust. I had a talisman. I staked that talisman. It's no longer sitting here. It's staked. I could unstake it if I want to. If I come here, if I press on leave faction, I could basically unstake it. But I'm not going to do that. But anyhow, I have 0 eggs, I have 0 loot, I have no baby dragons. I mean, baby dragons, adult dragons are not even out yet. I have no meteors, I have none of that. But this is where all your Levana NFTs would be here. This is where you would crack your meteor. So if you have one here, it would be cracked here. This is where you would nest your dragon egg if you would have one. Crafting, this is not out yet, but you can kind of see there's a few things you can craft and you would need dust to craft it. So what are the next steps for the Levana NFT game? Well, soon after the airdrop, we are supposed to see the baby dragons, that stage coming out. So if you have a nested egg, you should then be able to start hatching it and you're going to have a baby dragon. If we head back to my cave, on this page, so if you had that nested egg here, you'd have a baby dragon. And once we have baby dragons out, we will then be able to start customizing. You'll be able to customize the eyes, the horns, possibly a gem in the middle of the forehead, or like a necklace around the dragon. There's going to be a lot of different customizations, and you will need to have the dust to be able to do so. And I think some people are going to go pretty crazy at it, trying to make the dragon look as cool as possible. And that's probably also going to drive up the price of dust as people really want to, start customizing their dragon to their likes. So the $1 million question, am I going to be buying myself a dragon egg or a meteor or a nested egg? Yes, probably I will be doing so. Probably in the next week or so. Now, I want to make a few things clear here. By buying an egg or a meteor, it's a complete gamble, without a doubt. It's a gamble. There's a bigger chance of all of this failing, that the full game of Levana, when it comes out, it might just be underwhelming. People might look at it, have fun for a couple of weeks, and kind of hop off, and maybe the community on Levana will only stay at 5,000-6,000 active users forever, and that is it. And the dragons won't really go up in price. Maybe they'll even come down in price given enough time. That's the more likely scenario, unfortunately. That's just how things are, right? But the risk and reward is a little bit skewed here. Since we are about a year away from that game being out, and a lot of people care about like instant gratification, and they don't want to like sit here and like look into the game today and play some mini games and invest money in an egg today that they can't really utilize within a game, let's say, the prices might be a bit suppressed. It could be a scenario that you do buy an egg today, you hatch, you have a baby dragon, you have an adult dragon, the game comes out, the game is successful, people love it, people play it. Those dragons are valuable. Maybe you'll make a 10x, 20x, 30x return by buying in today. It makes it a complete gamble. I just want to make that clear. So by me buying an egg, which again, I will likely do so, I'm taking that gamble. I know that there's a good chance I might have to just write off that Luna that I used to buy it. It might just turn out to be nothing. But it could also turn out to be a 10-fold, 20-fold return. I hope it is. Obviously, I hope it is. But if you plan to go down this path with me, just understand those are the actual risks. We could believe that the game is going to be great, but there's no guarantee that's going to be the case. There's less likelihood of that happening than it not being great. But that's what I plan on doing. And I will also continue playing the games. It makes sense. Why not try to get some of those NFT rewards under the same premise? If the game is successful and I'm not using all this dust, maybe the dust will be worth several fold over once the game comes out. It'll be valuable if it's used for so many things. So why not spend some time, a couple hours a week, playing some games, trying to beat one, get an NFT reward, use it, maybe increase the worth of my dragon, or craft some materials that might be useful in the game. So sure, I'll do that. I mean, it costs me time, and obviously time is money without a doubt, but I'll do it. I'll take the bet that maybe the game will succeed. But let's finally move away from the game and talk about the actual DeFi side of things, their leveraged product. So Levana will have two leveraged products. One of them is known as LLI, Levana Leveraged Index, and the other one is perpetual swaps. Now, LLI tokens will be coming out in the very near future. I'd say maybe within the next month or two. And those will be the tokens that will be a 2x Luna token that you probably have heard about. The perpetual ones, those are not set to be released until maybe much further out into this year. So we're not going to be covering them too much in this video because so much of it can change. And the documentation is a little bit sparse when it comes to that. But we'll be touching on the LLI tokens, specifically the 2x Luna token. So what are the actual mechanics behind that token? Well, Levana will be utilizing the Mars protocol to create this token. Now, if you're familiar with Mars as it is already, this concept is going to seem pretty clear to you. I'll actually even bring up Mars. Why not? Let's look at Mars. And I currently have a strategy on Mars. And as I launch the app here, and we go over to fields, I'm just going to briefly kind of go over this. So if you want to hop into one of these leveraged pools on Mars, you would basically provide the Luna, and then you would borrow UST against your Luna. And you would take that UST that Mars had given you, and you would throw it into the liquidity pool. And now you have a Luna UST liquidity pool. Now this is cool, because typically when you set up a liquidity pool, you have to provide both sides yourself. So if all you have is Luna, you have to split the Luna in half, sell half that Luna for UST, and then throw that into a liquidity pool. With Mars, you do not have to do so. You just provide your Luna and you borrow all that UST and you put it together. It's pretty clear. Well, what Levana is doing is instead of this liquidity pool, they're using that UST to create that leverage. And we're going to focus specifically on the example that they had given. They're going to start off and imagine one Luna is worth $10. They're going to deposit 100,000 Luna into Mars, which is worth about $1 million. They're going to borrow 500 UST from Mars using that initial 100,000 Luna as collateral. And they're going to take that UST of 500,000. They're going to swap that for more Luna. In this case, they add on 50,000 more Luna. Now they have a Luna position of 150,000. Then they repeat this again. They borrow another 500,000, which they can do, by the way, because they provided $1 million of collateral. So they could borrow another $1 million worth of UST. So with that additional $500,000 of UST, they borrowed that more Luna. And now they have 200,000 Luna. So they went from 100,000 Luna to 200,000 Luna by using Mars. And the same thing is available to us, by the way. If you set up those liquidity pools, you're basically borrowing exactly what you're putting down as collateral. Now, once they have this, as it says here, they split this up into 100,000 tokens. Those are going to be the LLI tokens, and they're going to be called specifically Luna 2x tokens. And in this case, each with a starting price of $10. Now, this is obviously based off the fact that one Luna is worth $10. In today's example of Luna at around $90, and each token will be worth $90. But that is how they are going to be creating these leveraged tokens. Once we inch closer to these tokens being released, I'm going to make sure to cover them. Hopefully, there'll be some cool little like DeFi strategies with them. But I like this. It's pretty cool. And I think people are going to be using this. And they also, I know in the perpetual swaps, they'll even let us use like 10x leverage, by the way, but that's really set for a video much further into the future. But even 2x Luna will be very interesting. Now, I am going to grab a dragon egg, as I said, pretty soon. I will post, I mean, if you're part of my Discord, I will let people know there when I pick up a dragon egg. By the way, for those that are not part of my Discord, it's completely free to join. It's in my description below. We're going to be up to date as to what egg I buy, maybe if I buy a Meteor or so on. But if you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful, it gave you a good introduction to Levana. And let me know if you are going to get involved. And if you are, like, what faction you ended up getting involved, just let me know in the comments. I answer basically all my comments. But thank you for watching and have a great day.